Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 223 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. For the latest weekly news of the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and college sports, this is the podcast to be. So today's episode is pretty simple. Going to give my thoughts on the MLB playoff bracket because it has just been announced today or tonight because at the time of the recording, it is nighttime. But anyway. We're going to do that. And we're also going to do our normal tradition that I've just started, the NFL Weekly Power Rankings heading into week number 5. All right. So let's start off with the American League first. For the wild card series, we have the Detroit Tigers versus the Cleveland Guardians, two teams who, by the way, were fighting to take the American League Division Central Championship this year. And between the Tigers and between the Guardians, while I did like the Tigers team this year, I think it's going to go to the Cleveland Guardians. Why? The Guardians have been red hot as of late. In fact, one of the recent games against the Texas Rangers, they won off a walk-off hit by a pitch, which is pretty nuts. Jose Ramirez, current best third baseman in all baseball. Well, today in baseball. All time, he's definitely in the top 5. And they still have Stephen Kwan, still doing Stephen Kwan things. The Guardians have been doing pretty well as of late, and I think that's going to continue. I think they're actually going to sweep the Detroit Tigers. Next up, we have the Boston Red Sox versus the New York Yankees. One of baseball's greatest rivalries, not just all time, but ever. And I think the Boston Red Sox are going to beat the New York Yankees. I think it's going to take them 5. I think they're going to win. It's going to take them 5. I think they're going to win the series 3-2. Because while I think the Red Sox have the better advantage of pitching this season than the Yankees did, but also the Yankees have a powerhouse hitting team. Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Anthony Volpe, Ryan McMahon, Paul Goldschmidt, Ben Rice, Jason Dominguez, Austin Wells. I could go on. So while I think this should be competitive, but at the end of the day, I think the Red Sox are going to run away with it. And they're going to verse the Toronto Blue Jays, while the Cleveland Guardians will verse the Seattle Mariners. Okay. Now for the National League wildcard series. We have the Cincinnati Reds versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. I am so sorry to Cincinnati Reds fans, but it's going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. While they are in a wild card, but they're still one of the better teams in all of baseball. And I think they're going to verse the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, the San Diego Padres versus the Chicago Cubs. I've actually thought about this long and hard. The Padres have a fun team hitting-wise, but the pitching has been very streaky all season long. Now for the Chicago Cubs. Obviously, Michael Busch, Pico Armstrong, Seiya Suzuki both had 30 home runs, almost 100 RBI seasons. I know Suzuki drove it over 100. Busch and Armstrong was close to 100. Busch was not. I don't believe he got to 100. He might have been close, even if I did try to take a look. But basically, 3 offensive players who were awesome this year. Dansby Swanson had a 20 home run season. Nico Horner, dare I say, one of the best contact hitters in all baseball. They also had, well, they did have Miguel Amaya for a bit before he got hurt. But Matt Shaw had a good second half. Ian Happ still doing Ian Happ things. I'm actually going to pick the Chicago Cubs, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think they're going to win in 5 games because I think the Padres are going to make them work. But the one thing I do think the Cubs have a bit of a upgrade over the Padres is the starting pitching. Shota Imanaga. Shota Imanaga. His stuff is filthy. Cade Horton, who might as well win Rookie of the Year for the National League. They even had Jameson Taillon who came back. They've had Javier Assad. I could go on. I mean, and while the bullpen, say what you want about the bullpen at times was good for the Cubs, but at times the bullpen was nowhere to be seen. So if the Cubs bullpen, if the offense comes through, and if the starting pitching does really well, they're definitely going to move on. And I think they will against the Padres. For the first time And I believe in the entire history of the franchise of the Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers, they're going to verse each other in the NLDS. So for the ALDS, I have the Guardians versus the Seattle Mariners. I'm sorry, Cleveland fans, but I think the Seattle Mariners are going to clobber through the Cleveland Guardians. Better pitching is awesome. Hitting wise, they even have Eugenio Suarez, who almost had a 50 home run season. Cal Raleigh, who had 61 home runs in the regular season, which is crazy. The Seattle Mariners, while getting a little break, I think they're going to come out fresh and be ready and beat the Cleveland Guardians. I think it's going to take them 5 games. Another series where it's not going to be easy, but the Mariners are going to get the job done at the end of the day. And then between the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays, I think the Red Sox are going to beat the Blue Jays. I think if they keep this up against the Yankees, they will for sure go through the Blue Jays without any problem. And I think it's going to take them 4 games. I can see the Blue Jays sneak a win away from the Red Sox, but in the end, I have the Red Sox pulling through, which then leads to the ALCS. We're going to have the Boston Red Sox versus the Seattle Mariners. And for the first time in franchise history, the Seattle Mariners are going to upset the Boston Red Sox and advance to the 2025 World Series. All right, now for the NLDS. The Chicago Cubs versus the Milwaukee Brewers. Oh boy, the Brewers were a good team all season long. But even when Craig Counsell was there, the Brewers had not had good history in terms of postseason. Andrew Vaughn started off red hot when he first got acquired, has been ice cold as of late. Bryce Terrain, really good player. The Brewers have good contact hitter guys, but it just worked well this year. And even with the pitching. But at the end of the day, I think the Chicago Cubs are going to upset the Brewers in 4 games. And they're going to advance to the NLCS. Now, between the Dodgers and Phillies, I think the Philadelphia Phillies are going to upset the Dodgers and move on to the NLCS. I mean, Ranger Suarez has been awesome. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, JT Realmuto, Trey Turner. Do I go on? Because the Phillies hitting-wise looks pure awesome. And they're going to go to the NLCS to versus the Chicago Cubs. And to advance the 2025 World Series for the National League, I have the Philadelphia Phillies making it back to the World Series for the first time in 3 years to go against the Seattle Mariners. Now, for the World Series. Oh, for game-wise, I think Dodgers are going to beat the Phillies in 5. No, check that. I think they'll beat them in 4. I think Phillies will beat the Cubs in 7. And actually 5 for Cubs Brewers. I'm going to say 7 also for Philly Dodgers before Phillies versus the Cubs, by the way. Now, game-wise, we got the Seattle Mariners versus the Philadelphia Phillies. The Mariners, who, by the way, have never won a World Series. The Philadelphia Phillies haven't made it to the World Series since 2022, where they unfortunately lost to the Houston Astros. But they also have not won a World Series since 2008, which is even more crazy to think. And I think this series is going to be good. The Mariners' good pitching versus the Phillies' good pitching. Mariners got Suarez, Raleigh, and some other good hitters, but the Phillies have better hitting. Ooh. For the first time in franchise history, I have the Seattle Mariners winning the World Series in 6 games. I think J.P. Crawford is going to pull through and win World Series MVP. So that is my Major League Baseball playoff bracket prediction. I have the Seattle Mariners winning the World Series against the Philadelphia Phillies in 6 games. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. You can always let me know your thoughts on Twitter at Billman Sports. I know it's called X, but again, we're going to call it Twitter. Instagram at Billman Sports Guy, and here on YouTube at Billman Sports Guy. All right, now into the NFL Power Rankings. All right, now into NFL Weekly Power Rankings recap from Week 4 as we're about to head into Week 5. All right, let's just get started right away. Number 32, the New Orleans Saints. While at one point the defense and the Saints really gave the Buffalo Bills a bit of a scare, almost made Josh Allen get his first loss of the season. But to no avail, Josh Allen and the Bills kept climbing up and then got the victory over the New Orleans Saints. Now, we haven't seen the team go winless since the Cleveland Browns back in the 2015 or the 2016 season. Excuse me. So is it possible? Could the NFL maybe see 2 winless teams? Because at number 31, the Tennessee Titans. Oh boy, there was no hope for the Tennessee Titans at all. Especially that they just basically got destroyed by a winless Houston Texans team. And I do sometimes wonder, will they even get a win at this point? Because their next scheduled game is against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. But then there's honestly just no hope at this point because after that, you got the Raiders, the Patriots, the Colts, the Chargers. You guys don't even have a bye week until week 10. So that's going to be absolutely insane. And then it's just going to be a long, miserable year. Number 30, the Cleveland Browns. So, hey, Cleveland Browns, when are you guys going to start Trader Sanders? Because Joe Flacco once again stunk up the joint really bad against the Detroit Lions. You know, Joe Flacco, who went 16 for 34, 184 yards, 2 interceptions. Yikes. The Cleveland Browns, while I think there's potential in their defense, but offensively it's just going to be a long year. And more performances like this is another great example as to why. Number 29, another team that is still winless, the New York Jets. Should have been able to pull off a win against the Miami Dolphins, but they weren't able to. And too many penalties. That was the problem. Justin Fields was fine, completed 20 of his 27 pass attempts, threw for a touchdown, but was sacked twice. Clearly unacceptable. The Jets, they're just the same old Jets. It's just that obvious. Number 28, the Miami Dolphins. Hey, you guys finally won a game. Kudos to you. But are they really going to make the playoffs? And now Tyreek Hill's out for the rest of the season. So the playoff hopes basically just vanished. The Miami Dolphins, they're honestly just a team that I just don't have any hopes for the rest of the season. Number 27, the Carolina Panthers. So the Carolina Panthers are you guys okay? You guys did pull off an impressive win over the Atlanta Falcons just to get destroyed by the New England Patriots, 42-13. Bryce Young went 18 for 30, 150 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception, but his QBR rating was 84. Yikes. And speaking of the Patriots, they're at number 26. A young team obviously, we're in the new era of New England Patriots football. We were in the Mac Jones area for a short bit, but for a long period of time, Patriot fans were coped to the Tom Brady era. Now we're in the Drake May era. It's too early to call them a dynasty. I don't think they're anywhere near dynasty potential, but could Drake May maybe be the next Tom Brady in New England land? We'll see. Number 25, the New York Giants. Giant fans, give yourselves a pat in the back. Jackson Dart was impressive. Well, not fully impressive, but he was solid in his NFL debut, upsetting the Los Angeles Chargers. However, wait, wrong team. Sorry, I had the Giants up for a bit. Now, Malik Neighbors suffered a horrible injury and is now out for the rest of the season. So there could be a bit of hope with the New York Giants, but with Neighbors out for the whole year, I don't see where the hope is going to be. But I think what Giants fans want is Jackson Starr, the new face of the New York Giants. We'll just have to wait and see. Number 24, the Houston Texans. Hey, at least you guys finally won a game. CJ Stroud looked good, but can the offensive line help out CJ Stroud more? That's basically my next question. Number 23, the Las Vegas Raiders. Another interception for Geno Smith. He leads all the NFL in interceptions with, I'm pretty sure he has 8. The Raiders, if they don't get their act together, they lost to a Ben Johnson Chicago Bears team. The Raiders don't get it together. They're in one of the categories of that. It's just going to be a long year. Number 22, the Indianapolis Colts. This is why I've never put the Colts super high on my rankings like everyone else has done. Daniel Jones was about to have a bad game, and he did. Daniel Jones, while not a superstar quarterback, but in their 27-20 loss against the Los Angeles Rams, Daniel Jones, 24 out of 33 pass attempts, threw for 262 yards. He did throw 2 interceptions and threw for 1 touchdown, but he was outdueled by Matthew Stafford. And we'll see what the Colts are going to be. I still have no hope for them whatsoever. Number 21, the Dallas Cowboys. Did anybody have a hard time trying to narrate the Cowboys-Packers game when it ended at a tie? Yes? Good. So did I. The Cowboys' running game destroyed the Packers' defense, let's be honest. Dak Prescott, I have to admit, he looked really solid, but it just wasn't enough to go over the Green Bay Packers. And while the Cowboys are another team that I don't have any hopes for this season. Now, could the Cowboys win the Super Bowl? No. But could they maybe prove some people wrong if they keep putting on performances like this against Green Bay? Absolutely. Now, jokingly, I say this in a jokingly way, the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers next, so they're going to enjoy a nice 2-week bye-week football. All right, number 20, the Chicago Bears. And remember the definitions of you got to win big, you got to win small, you got to win ugly, the good, the bad, the ugly. Well, the ugly win was perfect to describe the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, so far in his young NFL career, to me, he looks really streaky. There are some plays that he looks super comfortable with, but then there are other games he looks so lost, so unsure, like he almost doesn't know what to do with the football. But DeAndre Swift had a good game. DJ Moore had a good game. The defense came through in their blocked field goal within the last minute of the fourth quarter. So, hey, the Bears are 500. So I'll give them credit where credit is due. But that's still not going to put them higher up on my list for right now. Because, like every Bears fan that I keep hearing on social media, the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl. The Bears are going to win the Super Bowl. No, they're not. I need to see it to believe it. And I still haven't seen enough in order to believe it. Number 19, the San Francisco 49ers. Sloppy defense and really costed them this game. And they're just hurt almost all the time. I want to believe in the San Francisco 49ers, but I can't at the same time. I just don't know what else to say about the 49ers. Costly game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They looked so sloppy. Will they be able to get it together? I really don't know. Number 18, the Arizona Cardinals. Still feeling skeptical about the Cardinals. Still in the same old where they look good, but then they fall apart. And they were almost a no-show against the Seattle Seahawks. I just don't know what else to say about it. It's just not fully there in their 23-20 loss. But again, they almost pulled it off. But there's just the football fan in me that I'm just skeptical with the Arizona Cardinals. Number 17, the Washington Commanders. They almost won, but came short against a tough Atlanta Falcons team. And Jane Daniels is expected to return this Sunday. And I think that's going to help rejuvenate the Washington Commanders offense. Number 16, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They absolutely destroyed the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, Vikings. Where do I have them on my list? Aha. Let's actually put the Vikings at number 16. Change that. The Vikings, Carson Wentz stunk up the joint against Pittsburgh. And if they don't get it together, they're still not going to make the playoffs. But they're also playing in a tough NFC division with the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, and the Green Bay Packers. Number 15, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals looked lost against the Denver Broncos. Without Joe Burrow, their offense stinks. Their defense is already horrendous. There's not enough to say about the Bengals. Number 14. Let's go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I thought did really well. Aaron Rodgers looked amazing. Vintage Green Bay Packer Aaron Rodgers against the Minnesota Vikings. And let's see if they can keep it up. At number 13, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Hey, I got to admit, Seahawks look pretty good with Sam Darnold as starting quarterback. They were one fumble away for going 4-0, but it is what it is. And if they can keep it up, we can maybe put Seattle as one of the sleeper teams to win the Super Bowl. Number 12, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. Hey, the Denver Broncos offense needed to show up, and they came through at a perfect time against the not Seattle Seahawks. I'm sorry, the Cincinnati Bengals. Kudos to them. And if Bo Nix can keep this pace up, I think Denver's going to be just fine. Number 11. Let's see. I put the Vikings at 16. All right. Then next up, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Picked up a win, but no hope. Actually, number 11, let's go with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm a little worried about the Ravens. Lamar Jackson got hurt. What is this team going to look like with under Cooper Rush as the starting quarterback? Number 10, Kansas City Chiefs, who they beat the Baltimore Ravens. Looks good. There's not a whole lot to say. Number 9, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers. I had to bump them down mainly because they just got upset by the New York Giants. But hey, I still think Chargers have potential to be a Super Bowl contenders. Number 8, Los Angeles Rams. Another team where I feel very skeptical, but they looked really good against the 49ers. Why am I forgetting what team they versed? But the Rams, it's the Colts. But hey, if the Rams can keep it up, they'll look good. Number six, I'm gonna go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks, hey, you know, they lost tough to the Philadelphia Eagles, bringing now their record to 3-1. But Baker Mayfield has really rejuvenated his career ever since becoming a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Number five, the Atlanta Falcons. If I had to pick a sleeper team to win the Super Bowl, it's the Atlanta Falcons. And with Michael Penix Jr., who, by the way, looks amazing. If he can keep it up, if the offense can get it together, defense still does well, the Falcons could actually run away with Super Bowl 60 this year. Excuse me, number four or three. I've lost track at this point. I got the Green Bay Packers. Kind of like what I said with the Cowboys earlier, but Jordan Love looked amazing. Romeo Doubs had himself a really nice game. Defense looked very sketchy against the Cowboys, not going to lie. But the biggest concern as a Packer fan is their offensive depth because Jane Reed is out for basically all the regular season. Christian Watson is not supposed to come back to like week 7, week 8, or week 9. I know it's one of those weeks. So Green Bay has to stay healthy. Offense needs to still improve, get it together. Defense definitely needs to step up big time. But hey, with the bye week, it's going to work out good. And kind of round up my top four at least. Let's see. I put Bucks at 6, Atlanta at 5. All right, I have it all over the place. But anyway, number 3 or number 2, Philadelphia Eagles had a comfortable lead against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but then they just blew it all away, or they almost blew the game away. But that's why I bumped them down for number 1, because number 1, the Buffalo Bills, that who I think are the best team heading into week 5. The Bills looked amazing. They almost lost to the New Orleans Saints, but Josh Allen, definitely the MVP pick in my opinion. Josh Allen has looked super amazing this year, and everything he's done has actually impressed me so far this season. And I think the city of Buffalo has something to root for. If Josh Allen and the Bills dominate the regular season, especially in the playoffs, and especially if he can expose Patrick Mahomes, because hey, if Jalen Hurts can expose Patrick Mahomes, so can Josh Allen. I think the city of Buffalo is going to have something to root for this year with the Bills in 2025. Because we all know in the hockey world, the Sabres have basically hibernated for who knows how long. The Bills have woken up. They're truly exciting to watch this season. And this concludes today's episode number 223 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. Let me know on who you have winning the World Series this year. Let me know your thoughts on my NFL power rankings from week 4 heading into week 5. Have a good evening, everybody. Stay tuned for episode number 224. Peace.